I can hear brown children sing for you. They want
Back to Lula's Lighthouse. I'm Kalula, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a garment. Now this one is going to be a step up from the other ones I've done. The other ones were really basic, like beginner friendly. So today I'm making one for my son and for my husband, but I'm going to show you guys how to do one for my son. Just make the measurements bigger for a man. So the fabrics I have today, this right here, I got this from Hobby Lobby. This is just like a cotton. The inside is raw, so it's just like this white. And that's not really pretty. Like, even though we want this to show, we don't really want this to show when we're walking and, you know, going by. We want it to be, you know, smooth, something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to do a garment with a lining. So the lining that I'm choosing for right now is either going to be this blue or a gold. This gold right here. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do a gold or a blue lining with this fabric. And then for the cape I am using this crush, and I'm going to also line it. Even though this is okay, I want it to be a little bit, you know, thicker feel. So I'm going to line this, and I'm thinking gold, but then I kind of like the blue. We'll figure it out as we go, but here we go. Let's get started. So I got this trim right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's purple, shiny, sequin-like. I got it at Joann's, and I'm thinking that this will look nice on this fabric right here. This is a paisley print. It's blue, purple, and gold. And then I'm also going to use some gold bias tape. If you want to know what my key trick is, bias tape. If you want them edges to look good, bias tape. If you want it to look like it was professionally made, bias tape. So, and that's what we're going to use, and this. So, let's get started. For this garment, I'm laying out my fabric. And my son, he is shoulder to shoulder, 11 inches. So, okay, so a front throw equation would be like, this is my fabric open. I fold my fabric in half. Then where you see where I have a dot right here and a dot right there, this is going to be like the neck opening, and this is going to be the shoulder. So you want to have all the fabric on this side open, and this side right here should be closed. Once you have it cut off where those dotted lines are, when you open it up, it'll look like this. And that is my front of the throw equation. My son's shoulder to shoulder measurement when taking his measurements was 11 inches, and I'm adding a ½ inch, making it 11.5 inches. And I'm measuring this from top to bottom. I'm going to cut this out, and this is going to be the basic, you know, rectangle for the front of his garment. All right, so this is the width of my son, but this is not the length. He is not this tall. So what I'm going to do is I am going to measure his length. He is 27 to his calf, and I'm going to measure down to about 29. That's about 2 extra inches, but that's just because I'm giving myself allowance to for mistakes next, well, not mistakes, but all right, and that comes off easily. Love these things. So I have my fabric laid out. It's nice, even to what I want. I am now going to fold this in half. If you need to, you can use pins. I've upgraded to these clips. These are like the best thing in the world. You no longer have to use pins anymore. You can just pick up and clip. I am going to do his shoulder measurements. And my son has a big head, so I know that I need to bring this down about 4 inches down. And actually, I'm gonna do 5 because he does have a big head. So I'm going about 5. And depth-wise, I'm going to go 3 inches in. So, all right. So I'm going about 3 inches inwards from the inseam. This is the outseam. You don't cut the outseam, you cut the inseam. And then I'm going to go 5 inches inwards for his neck, because he does have a big neck. So I'm marking my points, and if you don't have a steady hand, don't do this, but I have a steady hand, so I'm just going to draw me like a semicircle. And now I'm just looking to see if that's like how I would like the shape to be. I believe so, but I'm thinking I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because my son does have a big head. When I say big head, y'all, I mean a big head. All right, so I got that. That's the neck. I'm gonna cut it out. Now, if this was on a brother, they would have more shoulder space, but this is a child and my son has a man-sized head, so I gotta do what I gotta do. So this is like his dip that was taken out for his inside. Then when we get to this part, you want it to be slanted because your shoulders slant. They're not straight across like that. So I'm just going to slant it. Now, if this was a man's garment, I would, draw a line and then cut it. But because I know, I'm just gonna rock with this. So when I open this up, my garment looks like this. Looks pretty weird, right? And we don't like that. We want it to look fancy or whatnot. We want it to look better than that. So, all right. So I'm going to line this with blue fabric. The raw side is up and the smooth part is facing the bottom. So, all right. So you can do this 2 ways. You can go like this, or you can just cut. It's up to you. I am just going to cut.
Snakes lurking, the weed whacker. Open up the evil tech, God will make you the best hacker. It's called trust, belief. When you don't see the snakes, that venom is deadly, but rarely do you picture the safe.
All right. I'm getting my clips, clipping it down, because we are going to take this to the sewing machine. So what I'm doing right here is I am tracing around the neckline with a marker, and then I'm going to go back behind that and cut it out before I take it to the serger. But I also want to come on here and just let you guys know, make sure you iron your fabric or wash your fabric. For this video, it was so random. I was going off of my dopamine and just randomly said, let me make a video. So I did not iron my fabric, but I should have, and you should always iron your fabric. So now we're taking this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how we do that. I have a serger, but if you don't have a serger, you can use your sewing machine. You just have to move it to zigzag stitch, and that'll basically do the sides. So I'm gonna do one side with the zigzag and the other side with the serger. So right here, I am using my serger. It's nothing fancy. It is a great tool to have if you want your edges to be very clean and neat. So I do recommend it. I 10 out of 10 recommend getting a serger for nice seams in the inside of your garments. But this right here is just going to give me a clean finish. And I do this so that when I put the bias tape on the edges, it'll be easier for me. And this is how it looks. Nice, clean edges. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So I forgot to record me sewing with my machine, but I did do a zigzag stitch around the neckline. As you can see, not the best stitching, but it is going to work either way. So right here, I'm just putting on the bias tape, and this is going to help me have those nice clean edges, you know. So when we sewed everything down, putting this on top of there just gives it that extra protection for the lining, as well as beautifies the whole garment with the trim. So right here, I'm just taking it to the machine and sewing it on, just straight stitch all the way down and around.
To the Redeemer, Yahweh Shai. Yeah. I can hear the angels' wings. I can hear brown children sing for you. They wanna give praise to you. They wanna give praise to you. I can see right hands up high. They subscribe their right hand as an Israelite to the Redeemer, Yahweh Shai.
So I made a mistake, but it's not an undoable mistake. So I know you guys like the leather, the pleather. I'm gonna show y'all how I do it. Now I should have done this before I sewed this on, but I don't know why I didn't think about it at that moment, because I wasn't quite sure if I was going to use it or not. But I decided just now that I am. So what I do, I'm not going to use the pleather actually, I'm going to use this. But you can use this as the pleather. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut a strip to go across in a rectangle that fits this exactly. So get me a rectangle, make me some cuttings, and that's gonna, I'm gonna sew this straight across here. So this is when you actually do use your pins and you pin it in place and then sew on top. So I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So right here, I am sewing down that gold piece that I had laid and cut out on top of my fabric, and this right here is going to be like an extra layer. Of course, you would have done this before you put the lining on, so that way you could have serged the edges together with the original fabric, but it's okay, mistakes happen. So I'm just going ahead on and adding this to the garment.
To the Redeemer, Yahweh Shai. Yeah. I can hear the angels' wings. I can hear brown children sing for you.
We got this right here. We want to make it look real good. So sew this on. So right here, I am sewing the ribbon that I showed you guys in the front of the video, in between the gold and the original fabric. And this is just going to give it like a nice seamless and polished look. It's going to make it look very uniform versus it being just a block of fabric just sewn on there. And so whenever you're doing sewing, it's good to have like trim, because it just makes it flow.
Come on, man. Tell us what you hear.
I can hear the angels' wings. I can hear brown children sing for you. They wanna give praise to you. They wanna give praise to you.
So now I am adding the bias tape to the edges of the garment, and this right here will just seal in the front of my garment. And basically the front of the garment is complete once I put the bias tape on both sides, unless you wanted to add more ribbon and trim to the edges of the garment, but I'm just leaving this simple for now. We can get into that in another time if that's what you guys want. But yeah, so I'm just sewing down the bias tape, and that's basically the end for the front of the garment.
I can see right hands up high. They subscribe their right hand as an Israelite.
So I have the raw side of this crush facing up. I have back facing this. And then I use my chalk. So right here I got quiet. I really don't know why I stopped talking. But at the base of the garment, for the back of the garment, I always leave a couple extra inches longer, because I just feel like you want it longer than the front of your garment. So I made it a little bit longer, but also I widened the base of the garment about maybe, I'd say 4 inches on each side, 4 or 3. And then, it goes into the regular shoulder seam. Now I do this so that way it flows and it's not just a straight square in the front, square in the back. You know what I mean? You don't want to walk around like a rectangle. You want to have some type of flow to you. So making it wider at the base of the garment and then narrower to the shoulders, that'll give you that nice cape-like flow when you're walking.
I can hear the angels' wings. I can hear brown children sing for you.
So right here, I am laying out my gold fabric. I want the shiny side to be shown when walking. So I'm laying the raw side up and the shiny side down. And I'm laying my crushed velvet where the pretty side is up and the raw side is down. And now I'm just cutting around the edges of the garment, so that way they'll both be the same. So that way when I get done, I can put my clips on. Now, I did not record me cutting out the neckline, and I'm so sorry for that. I am really going to have a sister be with me so she can record me, because I know this angle is also bad. I apologize. So right here, I'm putting on the clips so that way when I take it to the serger, I can just run it through there really smooth like we did in the front of the garment. And then I'll put the bias tape on. Really simple, just the same steps like you did to the front. Only thing different that I didn't record was I didn't record the back neckline, and I didn't record putting on a little bit of trim, but it's kind of self-explanatory. Just sew the trim on like you did in the front. So my two pieces are finished, the front and the back, and I just need to put them together with the shoulder seam. And so what I'm doing is I'm having both outer pieces touch, and then I'm going to sew on that shoulder seam with the serger to lock it in.
They wanna give praise to you. They wanna give praise to you. I can see right hands up high. They subscribe they right hand as it is.
So right here, I am drawing on my vinyl with some Expo markers, and I love Expo markers because when I'm working with vinyl, I can just wipe away my sketches if I don't like the way I drew it out. But I'm cutting out the flag belt to about a long kind of flag, I guess, for a child anyway. And I usually make the belt about 4 to 3 inches wide for a child, and for an adult it'll be about 7 inches for a regular size man and 8 for a giant man. And yeah, so right now I'm just adding these little studs to it. These are studs that have little prongs in the back, so it's easy for me to remove if I need to, if I don't like where I place it. But that's what I'm doing, just going to lay stuff out and kind of play around with it. I did not record me designing this, unfortunately, so I'm sorry about that, and I will definitely try to get a video out for that in another time. But for now, I think you guys can kind of get the gist.
You don't see the snakes. That venom is deadly, but rarely do you picture you safe. But we protected, ready for Armageddon. Focus on ruling heaven with Christ, if God willing. Reward, wielding the sword. The word be steady, sharp. The less cuts, the more war. The evil we do abhor. Yeah, and that's ironic. My mind hooked on phonics like a computer. I blink to the scriptures like I'm bionic. Never feeling psychotic except when I'm out of pocket. And we repent. What thou seest be legit. Make it quick. I'm holding on. We pray our spirit don't fall off. Music, sometimes medicine, mental shootouts call off. Children watching, peeping your every move. You teach them without speaking. Your actions is what they do. Remember that you the teacher. Children is in the bleachers, listening to the preacher with time and plenty leisure. Obvious we the chosen. The angels observe us floating. Put your spirit in motion and move like you the ocean. Yeah, and we gon' sing reverencing Christ as King. He pulling all of the strings. Listen closely, you can hear the wings. Yeah,
I can hear the angels' wings. I can hear brown children sing for you. They wanna give praise to you. They wanna give praise to you. I can see right hands up high. They subscribe they right hand as an Israelite.